Have you ever wondered why life feels the heaviest just before something great happens? It's like everything starts falling apart at the same time. People turn cold, plans fall through, the path ahead gets blurry, and suddenly you're standing in the middle of a storm, asking God if He still hears you. The silence is deafening, the weight on your chest almost too much to carry. But what if I told you that this is not the end? What if everything you're feeling right now, every struggle, every setback, is not a punishment, but a sign? A sign that something big is coming, something divine. You see, before God blesses you, He breaks you. Not to destroy you, but to rebuild you, to stretch you, to prepare you. Think about it. You've been praying for elevation, for growth, for a breakthrough. But elevation requires separation. Growth requires pressure. Breakthrough requires resistance. And right now, if it feels like your life is being shaken, it's because the foundation you once stood on is no longer strong enough to hold where God is taking you. The blessing is close, closer than you think. But blessings don't just fall on your lap. They meet you on the battlefield. They come after the struggle, after the heartbreak, after the moments where you feel like giving up would be easier than holding on. And that's exactly where many people miss it. They quit too soon. They walk away in the dark, not knowing that the dawn was just moments away. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. God sees you. Every tear, every silent prayer, every sleepless night, none of it is wasted. Heaven is not blind to your pain. In fact, pain is often the language of transition. It's how God signals that something is shifting in the spirit, even if you can't see it yet in the physical. If your world feels like it's collapsing, maybe it's not falling apart, maybe it's falling into place, maybe God is removing what you didn't know was blocking your path. Maybe He's protecting you from things you begged Him to give you. And maybe, just maybe, He's clearing the stage for the blessing He already wrote your name on. Here's the truth. Before God does something through you, He does something in you. That's why it hurts. That's why the weight feels unbearable. Because He's not just preparing a blessing for you. He's preparing you for the blessing. And to hold something big, your hands have to be empty. Your heart has to be clean. Your focus has to be sharp. That means things, people, even versions of yourself that once felt familiar have to go. This is the test before the triumph, the silence before the shout. And if you can endure this moment, if you can trust even when you don't understand, if you can keep showing up even when it feels like nothing's changing, you'll look back and realize it wasn't the end, it was the beginning of everything you prayed for. Because blessings don't come when everything is perfect. They come when you're obedient in the chaos, when you keep walking even with a limp, when you praise even in pain. That's when heaven opens. That's when the blessing hits. Not because you earned it, but because you were faithful when it hurt. And if you're still listening to this, you're not here by accident. You were led here because you needed to hear this. Your soul needed the reminder. Your spirit needed the strength. You needed someone to tell you that it's okay to feel weak, but don't give up. Don't you dare. There is purpose in this pressure. There is power in this pause. And there is a promise waiting on the other side of this storm. God is about to bless you big. And if you can hold on through this breaking, if you can believe even with tears in your eyes, you will walk into a season so full of favor, it'll make sense of everything you went through. Stay. Stay through the confusion. Stay through the darkness. Stay through the waiting. Because what's coming is bigger than what's been. And when it arrives, you'll know it was all worth it. Watch till the end. There are signs you may have missed, signs that God is moving, that your blessing isn't just coming, it's already on the way. If everything inside you feels unsettled, if your spirit can't rest no matter how hard you try to stay comfortable, don't run from it. Lean into it. That restlessness is not confusion, it's revelation. It's the voice of heaven telling you that your old life can no longer contain the version of you that's about to emerge. You're not breaking down, you're breaking through. When God is about to move in your life, He doesn't send fireworks, He sends disruption. Suddenly, what used to fit no longer feels right. The conversations you once enjoyed start to feel empty. The places that once brought you comfort start to feel foreign. The people you used to align with start to distance themselves, or you feel yourself drifting from them without even knowing why, that's not rejection, that's realignment. God never sends a blessing into a place that isn't ready to receive it. So when your life starts shifting without warning, it's not chaos, it's choreography, the divine kind. And though it may feel like you're losing everything, what you're really doing is making room. Room for growth, room for increase, room for the next level that your comfort zone can't take you to. Doors you thought were meant for you may suddenly slam shut. People you thought were permanent may disappear without reason. But don't take it personal. Take it as confirmation. Every closed door is protection. Every ending is a message. And the message is this: God is clearing your path because He's preparing your platform. We get so caught up in clinging to what's familiar that we miss the freedom in letting go. But God doesn't ask you to release what's safe unless He's already prepared something greater, something deeper, something that matches the prayers you whispered when no one else was listening. So if you feel like things are falling apart, remind yourself, maybe this is what alignment feels like. Maybe this is what answered prayer looks like in the beginning stages. You were never called to fit in. You were called to rise, to evolve, to lead. And every calling comes with a cost. That cost often shows up as loneliness, confusion, loss, and silence. Not because God is punishing you, but because He's positioning you. You can't carry the old weight into a new season. You can't walk into your calling with hands full of things that belong to your past. So if your relationships are shifting, if your plans are crumbling, if you feel like the ground is moving beneath your feet, consider this: maybe your foundation wasn't built to hold what God is building next. Maybe your life had to be disrupted to save your destiny. Maybe everything that's falling apart is doing so because God is about to put something together that will blow your mind. And in these moments, when doubt tries to whisper lies, when fear creeps in to paralyze you, remember this: confusion often comes right before clarity. Discomfort often comes right before direction, and breakdowns often come right before blessings. This is not the end. This is the evidence. You're not off track, you're in transition. And transition is messy, it's painful, but it's sacred. Everything great God builds, He builds from the ground up. So when He clears your life, He's not being cruel, He's being careful. He's removing the unstable, the toxic, the temporary, so He can give you something that lasts. And it may not look like a blessing right now, but trust, this is how it begins. There's a blessing on the other side of this shift, one that requires your full attention, your full obedience, and your full surrender. And if you can walk through this with faith instead of fear, with hope instead of doubt, you won't just survive this season, you'll come out of it transformed. What God is about to bring into your life won't be small. It won't be average. It won't be something you could have made happen on your own. It will be divine, undeniable, unshakable. But first, you have to release what no longer serves you. You have to stop holding on to people who keep you in patterns you've outgrown. You have to stop trying to force open doors that God has already sealed shut. Let it go. Let them go. Let yourself grow. Because if you only knew what's ahead of you, you'd stop mourning what's behind you. The blessing that's coming will make sense of every disappointment. It will bring healing to every wound. It will redeem the time you thought you lost. It will remind you that God never takes without the intention to give you more, better, fuller. Stay alert. The shift is not random. The changes are not accidental. God is moving quietly, strategically, faithfully. And if you pay attention, you'll start to notice the signs that the blessing isn't far, it's near, closer than it's ever been. And all of this, every tear, every moment of isolation, every sudden change, it's not just happening to you, it's happening for you, because the blessing has your name on it, and it's already in motion. You can feel it deep in your chest. Something is changing. Even if you can't explain it, even if nothing around you looks different yet, your spirit knows there's a shift, a stirring, a pull toward something greater. That's not your imagination. That's your inner world waking up to the call of your next level. God is preparing you in silence before He blesses you in public. The dreams you once buried are starting to rise again. The passion you thought you lost is beginning to flicker. You don't want the same things anymore. You can't pretend to be satisfied with what once kept you content. That's not a sign of confusion. It's a signal of growth. When God is about to bless you big, He doesn't just change your surroundings. He changes you from the inside out. Your desires shift. Your thinking elevates. Your spirit craves more than what the world can offer. You're no longer drawn to shallow conversations or meaningless pursuits. You're starting to crave depth, purpose, clarity. You want to wake up and feel alive, not just exist. You want your life to count for something, to mean something. That hunger inside you, it's divine. It's holy discontent. It's how God whispers, "There's more." And that more isn't just about things. It's not about having a bigger house or a better title. It's about becoming the person you were created to be, walking fully in your calling, living boldly in your truth, standing firmly in your identity. That's the kind of blessing God gives, one that transforms you from the inside before it elevates you on the outside. But to rise into that version of yourself, you have to let go of who you were pretending to be. You have to silence the noise of the world long enough to hear the voice within. You have to be willing to leave the shallow for the deep, even when the deep feels uncertain. Because the place God is taking you doesn't come with a blueprint. It requires trust, not proof. If you've been feeling uncomfortable, if you feel like you don't fit in the spaces you used to belong in, take heart. That discomfort is sacred. It's the breaking of the shell that once protected you but now limits you. It's the invitation to rise higher, to see further, to believe bigger. And only those who answer that invitation will experience the fullness of the blessing that's coming. There's a reason the enemy has been attacking your mind so fiercely, because he knows if you ever fully accept who you are, if you ever fully step into your purpose, you'll become unstoppable. He doesn't fear your past. He fears your potential. And right now, you are standing on the edge of becoming everything you were born to be. This is why your peace has been under pressure, why your thoughts have been scattered, why you've been wrestling with questions that have no clear answers. It's all part of the awakening, because before God reveals new doors, He reveals your true self. And when you know who you are, you stop begging for crumbs. You stop settling for less. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You start to walk different, talk different, think different. And that shift? It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need validation. It's between you and God. Quiet, powerful, real. Don't let fear keep you in places you've outgrown. Don't let comfort keep you tied to a version of life that no longer fulfills you. You were not created to survive. You were created to soar. And this inner transformation, this deep hunger for more, is the runway to the blessing that's already in motion. Keep going, even when it's lonely. Keep stretching, even when it's painful. Keep trusting, even when it's silent. Because everything that's shifting in you is a sign that God is near. That He's not just answering your prayers. He's aligning your soul to receive them. You're not the same person you were. You've outgrown old thinking, old patterns, old fears. That's growth. And growth is the proof that your blessing is coming. The greater the transformation, the greater the preparation. And the greater the preparation, the greater the blessing. You've been crying out for change, asking for more, longing for clarity. And now, heaven is responding, not always with lightning and thunder, but with whispers and nudges, with new thoughts, new convictions, a new way of seeing the world. Pay attention. Those aren't random, they're sacred. They're signs that God is renewing your mind to match the size of the blessing He's bringing. This is the season where the internal becomes eternal, where what God is doing in you becomes the foundation for what He's about to release to you. Stay faithful, stay focused. Because when the inside shifts, the outside follows. And when your spirit aligns with heaven's plan, the blessing has no choice but to find you. You've been carrying more than most people know, smiling while you're silently struggling, encouraging others while your own heart feels heavy. You keep showing up, keep pushing forward, keep believing somehow, some way. This season won't last forever. That kind of strength is not ordinary. It's not random. It's evidence that something greater is being formed in you. The weight you feel isn't just pressure, it's purpose pressing against your soul, shaping you into someone who can handle what you've been praying for. Most people want the blessing but don't understand what it takes to carry it. The blessing always comes with responsibility, with preparation, with tests of character. And if you've been feeling stretched beyond your limit, it's because God is expanding your capacity. He's not punishing you, He's promoting you, quietly, painfully, intentionally, because small thinking can't sustain big blessings. You have to be enlarged before you can be elevated. This is why nothing feels easy right now, because you're not being built for easy. You're being built for impact, for legacy, for purpose so deep it will shake atmospheres. And anything that deep must first be rooted. That's why the soil feels dark. That's why your process feels hidden. Because roots don't grow in the spotlight. They grow underground, in stillness, in silence, in surrender. And right now, God is doing more in you than you can see around you. Don't confuse hidden with forgotten. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not happening. The delay isn't denial, it's development. It's God making sure that when the blessing shows up, it doesn't overwhelm you. That when the door opens, you're strong enough to walk through it without shrinking back. There's a version of you that God sees, even when you can't. A version that's bold, focused, fearless. But that version doesn't emerge without pressure, without seasons that stretch your faith and confront your doubts. You've been asking for strength, so life has handed you challenges. You've been asking for wisdom, so life has given you decisions. You've been asking for growth, so life has invited you into discomfort. That's not coincidence, it's divine instruction. And here's what's powerful, you haven't quit. Even with all the reasons to give up, you didn't. You're still here, still fighting, still believing. That resilience is not weakness, it's the seed of your breakthrough. Every time you rise again, heaven takes notice. Every time you refuse to quit, the enemy loses ground. You're not just surviving, you're sowing. And the harvest is coming. This is the part of the journey most people don't see. The lonely nights, the internal battles, the moments where faith feels like a whisper instead of a roar. But these are the moments that shape you, that forge your character, that teach you how to walk by faith and not by sight. Because if you can trust God when there's no evidence, you'll be trusted with evidence, with results, with the very things you almost gave up on. But it requires something sacred, endurance. Not the kind that just waits passively, but the kind that believes while waiting, the kind that worships even while bleeding, the kind that says, I may not see it yet, but I know it's coming. That's the posture that unlocks divine acceleration. Because God doesn't bless the most talented, He blesses the most committed. So if your life feels like a battlefield right now, it's because you're close. You're right at the edge. The pressure always intensifies right before the release, and the enemy always attacks hardest when he knows your breakthrough is near. Don't back down now. Don't shrink to fit the old you. You've come too far to settle, too far to doubt, too far to turn around. You didn't survive all that pain to stay the same. You didn't walk through all those storms just to end up where you started. Everything you've endured has been shaping you for this next chapter. And when the blessing hits, you won't have to chase it. It will recognize you. Because you'll be ready, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, equipped to hold what others only dreamed of. So don't despise the stretch. Don't curse the waiting. Don't let the silence make you forget the promise. The blessing is already written into your story. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You've been planted, not buried. And what God is about to do in your life will prove that every moment of pain had purpose. Stand firm. Keep your faith alive. Speak life over your situation, even when your voice shakes. Because the moment you stop looking for signs and start becoming one, everything shifts. You don't need a miracle to know God is moving. You are the miracle in motion. And soon the world will see what heaven has already declared over your life. The blessing is coming, and it's going to be big. Every time you chose faith over fear, every moment you kept going when quitting felt easier, you were sowing into your breakthrough. It might not have felt like progress, but it was. The unseen work, the quiet endurance, the discipline behind closed doors, that's what heaven counts. That's what builds foundations strong enough to carry miracles. You weren't being overlooked. You were being fortified. Your prayers weren't ignored. They were being aligned. Because God doesn't operate on your schedule. He operates on His strategy. And sometimes the strategy looks like silence. But in the silence, He's strengthening your roots. In the delay, He's building your character. In the waiting, He's preparing the kind of blessing that won't just touch your life. It will overflow into generations. You were never meant to be average. There's nothing about your journey that was designed for mediocrity. That's why the process has been so intense. That's why the warfare has been so heavy. You're carrying something holy, something weighty, something that threatens the comfort of everything small around you. And with that kind of calling comes refinement, not to break you, but to build you with precision. This is why comfort can't be your goal anymore. You weren't born for comfort. You were born for purpose. And purpose demands growth. Growth demands resistance. Resistance demands faith. And faith unlocks the supernatural, not just around you, but within you. Because the real blessing is not just what's coming to your life, it's who you're becoming in the process. You're becoming someone who doesn't flinch when things get hard, someone who doesn't crumble under pressure, someone who knows their worth doesn't depend on external approval. You're becoming dangerous to doubt, a threat to fear, a weapon against darkness. That's what God has been shaping in the fire, the version of you that walks in full authority, not just motivated but transformed, not just inspired but aligned, and alignment is the key. Because when you align your spirit with truth, when you align your actions with purpose, when you align your thoughts with faith, doors open, peace returns, favor finds you. You stop chasing things and start attracting them, not through force, but through flow, not by striving, but by surrendering. That's what the enemy didn't want you to realize, that your power isn't in doing more, it's in becoming more, becoming anchored, becoming rooted, becoming someone who trusts that even when life doesn't make sense, God's plan still does. Someone who doesn't need to see the finish line to know they're on the right path. Someone who understands that walking by faith doesn't mean it's easy, it means it's eternal. You've been equipped with more than you know, the strength to endure, the grace to overcome, the wisdom to discern, the courage to stand, and not because you feel like it every day, but because God placed it inside you before you even saw the challenge. You've been walking through fire, but the fire hasn't consumed you. It's refined you. It's revealed the gold inside you that pressure couldn't destroy. And now, the shift is near. The spiritual weight is lifting. The clarity is coming. What once felt like chaos will start making sense. What once looked like loss will be revealed as preparation. God never wastes pain. He repurposes it, and soon the blessing will answer every question. It will silence every doubt. It will justify every step of faith you took when nothing was guaranteed. Don't rush what God is doing. Don't try to force what He's unfolding. His timing may test your patience, but it will never fail your purpose. What's ahead of you is not just a better season, it's a divine setup, the kind that restores what you lost and multiplies what you carried, the kind that confirms that all the waiting, all the stretching, all the believing, it mattered. Keep your posture humble and your spirit expectant. Keep your heart open and your vision lifted. Because the moment you start living from a place of divine expectation instead of worldly anxiety, you make space for miracles. You create a life where peace becomes your baseline and purpose becomes your direction. You've survived too much to settle. You've grown too much to shrink. The version of you that's rising now is the one that can walk through any valley and still declare victory. That's not hype, it's truth. That's not fantasy, it's faith. And faith doesn't deny the difficulty. It declares that even in difficulty, destiny still wins. Your moment is approaching, and when it arrives, it won't just feel like a blessing, it will feel like home. Because your spirit already knows what's coming. That's why it's been restless. That's why it's been stretching. That's why it's been searching. And now, the search is almost over. The season is shifting. The blessing is near. And everything in you is being prepared to receive it. This is the moment where everything begins to shift, not because circumstances instantly change, but because you have. The storm didn't break you, it revealed you. The waiting didn't weaken you, it trained you. You've been forged in a place most people will never see, and that's why your blessing will carry a weight most people will never understand. What's coming isn't surface-level success, it's spiritual fulfillment. A deep, undeniable knowing that you were built for more, and now the more is finding you. You no longer need permission to rise. You no longer wait for validation to believe in your calling. You've stopped apologizing for your growth, for your healing, for your progress. And now, the atmosphere around you is beginning to respond to your new identity. You're speaking differently, walking differently, thinking differently, not because you're pretending, but because you finally remember who you are. And when you remember who you are, you stop negotiating your worth. The battles you fought weren't meant to break your confidence. They were meant to build your conviction. Conviction is what keeps you going when motivation fades. Conviction is what pulls you forward when your emotions try to hold you back. You don't just hope for change anymore. You expect it. You've seen what God can do in the dark, so you trust Him to bring light. You've experienced grace when you least deserved it, so now you walk with boldness that can't be shaken by circumstances. And this boldness, it's not arrogance, it's clarity. You know what it cost you to get here. You know what you had to let go of, what you had to overcome. And you know that what's ahead is not something random. It's a reward for the seeds you planted in secret, the decisions you made when no one was watching, the self-control you practiced when temptation knocked, the discipline you held on to when everything tried to distract you. You've been faithful with little. And now you're being trusted with more responsibility, more influence, more peace. But this time, it's not coming to overwhelm you, it's coming to reflect who you've become. You don't need the spotlight because your growth speaks for itself. You don't need loud applause because your spirit is already in alignment with purpose. And when your spirit is aligned, you attract what was always meant for you. This is why you don't have to compete. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to rush. Because what has your name on it won't miss you, and what's not meant for you won't distract you. That level of clarity is rare. It's powerful. It's a sign you've matured beyond surface-level success and stepped into soul-level alignment. That's where real blessings live, not in chasing, but in becoming. And you have become. You've become stronger, wiser, more grounded, more grateful. The person you are today carries the prayers of the person you once were. And the beautiful thing is, you're not done yet. There's still more unfolding, still more rising, still more territory to claim. But now you're walking with the inner stability to hold it when it comes. Nothing is wasted. Not the pain, not the detours, not the disappointments. Every part of your journey has purpose, even the parts you would have never chosen, especially those. Because what broke you open also brought you closer, closer to truth. Closer to humility, closer to God, and that closeness is the blessing no one can take from you. So now, you move differently, not with fear, but with fire, not with doubt, but with direction. You wake up knowing your steps are ordered, that your delays are not denials, they're divine setups, that your preparation was never punishment, it was protection. And because of that, you don't need to force anything. You don't need to beg for access. You don't need to strive for favor. What's aligned will flow. What's meant will manifest. What's divine will be delivered. But stay alert, stay humble, stay rooted, because elevation doesn't exempt you from attacks. It just means the attacks shift. The closer you get to destiny, the more distractions will try to disguise themselves as opportunities. The more noise will try to drown out your discernment. But you've come too far to fall for counterfeits. You've grown too much to be deceived by temporary highs.